Is Monday, May 17th at 6:30 p.m. And call to order the MUD meeting. We do have a quorum. All board members are present. Citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the board on any matter, whether or not it is posted on the agenda. The board is not permitted to take action on or discuss any comments made to the board at this time concerning an item not listed on the agenda. The board will hear comments on a specific agenda item prior to the board addressing those items. You may speak up to 4 minutes or the time limit determined by the president or presiding officer. To speak to this item, you must complete a speaker's form. That includes the topics of your statement. Citizens' comments should be limited to matters over which the board has authority. Lori, any citizens' comments?
No, sir.
You check out. Okay. All right, moving on. Item 1, reports and updates. Staff reports. A, capital improvement projects. B, water operations report. C, wastewater systems reports. And D, finance reports. Staff.
Good evening, directors. I do have some updates for you tonight. The Waterline Interconnect project that we've been so impatiently waiting for, the final 2 parcels, 4 and 5. As of Friday, there was some general counsel comments made to some of the closing documents that our right-of-way consultant had put together. As of Friday, those documents were finalized or approved, I guess, by their general counsel. Payment was actually made on April 1st by us and sent to the closing company. And so now all they have to do is send it to the individual in Chicago that's supposed to sign the documents. Email was sent again this morning. What is the scheduled date to close on this? As soon as we get that information, we'll let y'all know when we plan to advertise. The consultant has the project documents ready to go. Specifications are ready to go. It's just a matter of waiting for these 2 parcels to close. Also on Waterline Discussion, the waterline on Chimney Rock is 100% complete. All the punch list items have been completed. Solid's been replaced. 100% done. They started this last week on Carnoustie. The temporary water line's been installed and it's in place. And they've replaced roughly, I'm going to say 200 feet of pipe over there based off of my estimations that I saw today. The website, it's still in final development, but we anticipate getting the final product back from the developer by the end of this month. Then we'll do some minor fine-tuning. I believe it was late last week, our consultant was out flying video and taking some still pictures so we could get those updated once they get the information from the developer.
On the website, I noticed this week, or it was last maybe, the home page still has the old council picture.
We modified all of those.
Did they get updated?
Yes.
Because I know that if you click on the council, deep down, it's the new picture, but the home page had the other one. That was about a week ago.
We modified those. I caught one of those. She had updated one of the pictures and embedded further in the website. I found another one and she removed that as well. So it should only be on the director's page now, the updated picture. Okay, today we also received information from TCEQ that the wastewater treatment plant permit renewal is administratively complete. So what that means is now we have 30 days to post the notification of intent to renew through media outlets, have it available here. And then there's a section of time for public comment available. Barring any major public comments or legitimate reasons to have a hearing, then everything should go according to plan. It does expire on September 30th, but we're 4 months ahead of schedule, okay? Other than that, we don't have any other information for y'all tonight unless you have anything else you'd like to talk about.
How is HAF doing on the overall study?
On the overall study, I received some information today. They do have the water model complete. Okay. So now that we have the water model complete, I did tell them I needed some preliminary CIP numbers looking forward for June 1. So at least we can have a good look at our 5-year outlook. I received some more information on lift station 1, whether or not we can remove that or what improvements are going to cost. So once I get more detailed information, I plan on bringing that back as a separate discussion item.
Okay.
Any other things?
I do have one question on page 9 in the document. April permits. What is that? Would you walk me through that? at the bottom of page 9.
Anytime a new development comes in, or a redevelopment, or a new house, there's a certain set of deposits, customer deposits, impact fees that are due to the city of Fort Worth, metering costs, inspections, sewer inspections, fire line inspections. Those are all parts of our or the town's rate structure. And so that's what that means. So I'm going to assume that this is probably from the restaurant that's opening up.
For the new, replacing breadwinners?
Yes, yes. So essentially, when they come in and start working on that project, they have these fees that they have to pay.
Sorry, it's the hotel, the Loft Hotel.
The
Loft
Loft
Hotel.
Hotel?
Red Winters doesn't need a new impact. They're keeping the same one. The Loft needs
Okay.
a new impact.
Okay. Which one is the Loft?
The Loft Hotel.
In PD 30.
The PD 30? Okay.
Okay.
That answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Mr. Rose?
I have several anyway, but if we go to page, let me click this again, come on, jump. On page 7, probably may have asked this question a month or two ago, but it's slipped my mind on what the answer is. On the page 7, on the potential for hydrogen, you blow those up, and the real light green is the average reading. How do I end up with an average reading that's less than the minimum and the maximum? Looking at January and February.
I'd look in that, so I would say that was gonna be our average for the year,
But it's,
rolling 12 months and everything.
yeah, but those are not, those are monthly readings.
Correct, but we're not taking just the month there, we're taking our average over the last 12.
Oh,
Now, is that the last 12 Januaries or the last 12 rolling months?
Usually it's the last 12 rolling months.
Okay.
That would be a big jump then from February to March on a rolling 12-month average, seemingly.
The colors are a pH minimum, pH max, and then the average. And as Bill noted, the average is, higher than most of the reading.
We need to double check
Lower
and make
than
sure
that.
that we don't have those backwards in our formulas.
yeah, I mean, it just,
It doesn't
know,
make sense
It-
mathematically.
It doesn't make sense. Okay, let me go. So I'm over on back on page 10 now. There's a couple parcels there. That would be parcel 4 and 5 that you were talking about, and the easement amounts on those, 29,000 and roughly 35,000. So I understand that now. Next one down. Page 11, I've got half associates down there. The very last one, if you're on page 11, the very last two are 12,000 and 15,000. Do you know if that's associated with the line, or is that, if that's associated with the study?
Let's see here, the permits, I don't believe that those were part of the study.
Okay.
We had a few other projects that we're working on too. One was HVAC repairs here in the building. We had half associates working on a study of the building itself because
Okay.
we've got some issues there.
Okay.
And so part of that has to do with some of those numbers. We also had the risk and resiliency assessment going on. Part of the risk and resiliency assessment emergency response plan that we're working
Okay. Oh,
on.
yeah. Yep.
So part of it has to do with that.
Okay.
Part of it has to do with
Forgotten
the HVAC study. We have the wastewater treatment plant permit renewal part of this. And then we have the Carnoustie water line. We also had the fence replacement, which
Okay.
is now complete. And then,
the fence replacement for the wastewater treatment plant.
yes, and that
Okay.
was done. That were completed this last month.
Okay.
So that explains why you see so many on there. The maintenance and repairs, if I'm not mistaken, the maintenance and repairs was actually part of the HVAC study. We're funding that from maintenance and repairs instead of capital money. We're going to be underspending capital funds this year, but we're going to be overspending maintenance and repairs because it's more of a maintenance and repair thing. And we're not going to be using some of the capital funds we had in facilities.
Will that square away in the true-up? I mean, if it's ordinarily maintenance, then you'd want it coming out of the maintenance even if you're,
We'll do the budget amendment at the end of the year, but we're gonna underrun line items to make sure to cover those costs and maintenance and repairs.
okay.
But both of those amounts, both those invoices are for the study, the water master plan.
Okay,
Both
and they
of them.
break them out because one is for water, one is for
One is for
wastewater. That's
Oh, okay.
correct.
On 13, page 13, dumpster services caught my attention. $21,000 for dumpster services in 1 month. One of those,
That's actually till
We had-
January.
We had 3 different months that we hadn't paid because we were going back and forth with them on their invoicing.
Okay.
We switched from
okay,
R.L. Cheney
yeah, I knew
to
that.
Republic. And so we had withheld invoices specifically to make sure that we were all on the same page. So
Okay.
that's why it's so hefty this month.
Okay. And then this must be over on page 15, Raymar Construction, must be something associated with what Carnoustie or one of those, because it's maintenance repairs and for collections.
Correct. Those are point repairs, such as the ones that we've discussed in open session with residents.
Yep.
We have found 4 recently, and 2 were paid out of this check run. We've recently finished up another 2 point repairs. What were the ones over behind
Sunset,
barbecue?
yeah.
So when you
Sunset,
say,
yeah.
you say
Sunset.
point repairs, the previous one we talked about was one where the tree roots had gotten in the line.
Correct.
So we having more roots in, or what do we?
So what I refer to as a point repair, when you're opening up a sewer line, you open it up and you cut out the bad part, and you essentially put in new parts. That's what we call a point repair.
And these were found as a result of camera inspections?
Yes,
Or
that's correct. And/or blockages that people had at their residence. As soon as we go out and we clear it, the next day preferred, or as soon as they can get out there, then they camera to determine what the issue is.
Okay, so the bigger picture, are we finding collapsed sewer lines?
No.
Okay.
What we're finding is a less than desirable means of construction that was used back in the 70s and 80s.
Okay,
Some of these are on PVC, and I'm surprised of how they did it. But back in those days when they did these construction, there weren't as rigid construction means and methods, if you will.
okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah,
They would just drill a hole and shove the pipe in and not really seal it up real well. And so that's where these root intrusions
It's a different
are coming in.
connection now, right? Doesn't it now come off like at
Now
an
it's
angle?
an actual T assembly
Right.
that's a compression fitting. The pipe's going to the compression fitting, and then where the pipe goes to the customer side, the pipe pushes down in there as well. It's a
force fit,
bell and gasket and spigot.
okay. Well, the reason I ask is about the collapsing is because of the, what is it, hydrogen sulfide or something that the
Now,
lines generate?
H2S,
generates
that's
concrete?
hydrogen sulfide, that's what bacteria produces
Yeah.
within the wastewater system. You typically have those in manholes where your force mains are blowing out into the downstream manhole where it's going to start going back to gravity. You typically have a lot of degradation of the manholes, exposed aggregates.
Yeah.
That's when we would go in and repair something of
yeah.
that nature.
I just wanted to make sure that we weren't experiencing that out in our
No.
lines.
Now, one of these repairs behind the barbecue place, we did find a point where they had drilled a fence pier sometime in the past, and it had put and created a depression in top of the main.
Okay,
When we found it, we went ahead and fixed it.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. When we find an issue, we're correcting them.
good. On page 18, there's capital outlays there of $254,000. Just wondering, because we talked about buying easements.
So that was part of the original budget. The majority of that
Mm-hmm.
was the legal for the wastewater treatment plant that was budgeted.
Okay,
That also included the wastewater treatment plant fence. What other items did we have in there?
Is he asking for the April totals, or is he asking for?
No, he's
the-
just talking about the capital outlays for the entire budget year. He's talking about the 335,000.
Well, I was actually talking about the 254,000
That's
in
what
April.
was spent in
and so
April. He's talking about what was spent in April.
I understand the legal side of what you're saying, you know, how the legal's tied into what you're saying. I understand that. So that makes that one, making me smarter. It's the same thing. Okay. That's enough.
I got a quick
It's
question.
just capital outlays basically is what I'm finding.
Regarding electric, the Tri-City, is that our only carrier for electric?
Hudson.
That's-
Hudson's our primary one.
But Tri-County is part of our lift stations and wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, the co-op, yeah.
What is this building here?
Hudson. Majority of everything's Hudson besides lift stations that are outside that we have no options for.
Okay, and then the maintenance barn that we did the swap deal.
We don't pay anything for that. We've already shut that service down.
Okay, and in the fire station, we pay 100% of that?
No, fire station has their own. We don't, so we have this building and the building next to us, only thing here on site. And then obviously in the plant,
Who pays electric on the fire station?
that'd be the town.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, do you remember which ones are specifically on Tri-County outside of the wastewater plant?
I want to say it's going to be like Lift Station 2, a lot of stuff over in that area,
Okay.
like off TW King over there.
I do have one more. The bank services and fees and charges on page 19. We paid $5,900 for bank service charges and fees, bringing us up to 71% of the annual budget. Do we have something going on there that,
So some of this has related to COVID, which is a good thing for us, though. We're finding more customers are moving over to ACH, credit card payments. They're paying less in person. So we pay a higher amount because of credit card purchases, so we're paying higher fees.
We have to pay, we have to pay
we
fees
have a
on
higher
that, yeah.
fee?
We're,
because of
we're,
the
we're
amount of
seeing
credit?
that trend go that way, so in reality, when we look at budgeting next year, we need to take that in consideration that we will be charging more fees throughout the year because the higher balances are going to the credit cards now versus a check or hand pay, cash.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anything
Any
else?
other questions, other comments for staff on reports?
Nice work.
Okay. Consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Directors and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items. If a discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. 2, consider and act upon the consent agenda. A, April 2021 combined financials, and B, April 19th, 2021 regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
We're not going to pass it tonight.
What's that?
We're not going to pass it tonight, I guess. I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda April 2021 combined financials and the regular meeting minutes. Or that's the wrong one, is it? No, that's the right one. Yeah.
I'll second.
Motion by Director Carr, seconded by Vice President Chapman for the consent agenda, items A and B. All those in favor, raise your hand. It is unanimous. Item 3, regular session, consider an act to elect officers to the Board of Directors.
So
I-
Steve, oh, go ahead.
I'm not sure, Mr. Rose or Kevin can direct me. Can it be proposed that the current board is carryover, or does each position need to be reelected?
You could do it that way, but I think you're probably better off long scale doing it each position individually.
Okay. Let's do each position then. We'll start with president.
I nominate Steve Flynn for president.
I second.
No seconds on nominations.
Okay, Director Rose nominates myself, Steve Flynn. Okay, all those in favor? Or do we want to do all, we'll do a position by position?
Yep.
It is unanimous. Vice President?
Before we go, why
sir.
are we doing this now? It's supposed to be right after election, and then usually it's in June, by June 1st per the deal.
It's done annually in the bylaws, and
It's
it's done
usually June
prior
1st.
to the end of June. It's in the bylaws,
Right,
So it can either be May or
Anytime
June,
prior,
I guess? Yeah?
okay,
sometime prior.
It's being proactive.
okay.
Let's move to Vice President. I'm going to nominate current Vice President Chapman. Any other nominations? All those in favor? It is unanimous. Secretary Treasurer.
I would like to nominate Kelly Castaway, get it right.
Nomination for Kelly Castengay for Treasurer Vice President. All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you. Item 4, consider an act to appoint 2 directors to the Budget Review Committee. Any discussion? We know at the Budget Review, Alan, is there any discussion about that? I mean, we can jump right into it, but
Well, typically over the last few years, the board has directed to go ahead and add 2 members to a budget committee to help facilitate the process and go into depth with staff and bring back any information that you all feel is relevant to the board to try to keep the process moving forward. So as we have done in the years past, we're looking for nominations, or if you all want to provide names for us, we can have that budget committee again.
I'd like to be on that. We're considered for it.
okay, so Kevin, be considered for that position.
I'd like to be considered for the position also.
Bill Rose like to be considered for the position, and I would like to be considered for the position as well. 3 out of 5. So we need to vote on that. I guess we take it one by one.
One by one.
Okay, let's start with Director Rose. All those in favor of Director Rose? It is unanimous. Director Carr, those in favor of Director Carr? I have 1. President Flynn? All those in favor? Lori, did you catch that? There were 4 in favor, Director Carr not. So that motion carries. Executive session, I'm sorry. Consider and to act to appoint 2 directors to the rate committee. So I guess I have a question here to start, and I'll direct it at Alan. I believe it was last month or the month before the board decided not to do anything with rates. I guess my question is there a need for a rate committee?
This is for the full rate study. So what we're doing now is we're reviewing the entire rates, water and wastewater, to determine what we're going to look like for the next 5 years. So this is more in depth than just the annual rate structure that y'all are used to looking at annually for the the wastewater.
It's also going to go.
Will we be working with Chris Eckert on that?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
Stephen, I'm sorry.
It'll also go related with the budget, so it kind of ties into this year's budget and going forward with it.
Those meetings won't be happening at the same time, will they?
It would be up to the board if you would choose the same committee members, and we can hold them both at the same exact time, because there is going to be interchangeable for both of them, between budget implications and then rates.
Okay, well, I was concerned about a meeting being held in one room and another one in another room at the same time.
We wouldn't do it that way if,
Okay.
more than likely, it all depends on Chris's schedule as well. But if we can try to line them up as close together, we would likely do so. And it depends on who all you elect.
Okay, as much as I've played with rates, I've never been part of the rate committee, and I would like to do that.
Okay, so we have 1 self-nomination, Director Rose to the rate committee.
I would also like to be on the rate
Mr.
committee.
Chapman would like to be on the rate committee. Good, there's 2. All those in favor?
Anyone else?
Anyone else? Kelly, that hand almost went up. Okay,
I'll take finance.
well, okay, so we have our 2 directors. Thank you.
By acclamation.
By acclamation. Executive session, item 6, pursuant to section 551-071 of the Texas Open Meetings Act, the board may consult with his attorney in executive session on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas, clearly conflicts with the Open Meetings Act, or to seek advice of counsel on legal matters involving pending or contemplated litigation or settlement offers. A, consult with legal counsel regarding the existing interlocal cooperation agreement for administration of the fire protection services between the district and the town of Trophy Club, and seek legal advice regarding potential renewal, termination, modification, or replacement thereof. It is 6:55. We'll enter into executive session. All right, it is 7:53, and we are returning from executive session back into regular session. Item 7, consider and take appropriate action regarding executive session. No action to be taken. Number 8, item for future agendas. Anybody?
No.
Okay. Meeting dates. There was a request, the request is that we change the scheduled meeting date, Lori, of June 21st. We have some conflicts going on and would like to schedule it for Wednesday, June 16th, same time.
He's looking right at you, Alan, or something.
Oh, Alan, Alan, you okay with that?
I have no issues.
Okay, Stephen?
I will be ready for you.
Okay.
Okay,
A couple of the directors are not going to be here.
and Tony couldn't be here
As
either.
well as our legal.
Okay.
So,
Is a reason for the move. I'm going to be in Omaha. Kevin's going to be out of town,
Okay.
Mexico.
Mexico.
I believe there's just one other discussion item on meeting dates, and that's, Lori, the joint meeting
Yes.
with the town.
So I had sent out an email earlier today. I didn't add it on here as a separate item. Discussions with Letty regarding the joint meeting with the town at the end of July. And we were originally looking at trying to schedule it for Wednesday, July 28th or Thursday, July 29th. However, we are now looking towards Tuesday, July 27th, and having our regular meeting, moving our regular meeting that is set for July 16th, is it? I'm sorry, I don't have my calendar up. Or 19th.
19th.
Moving our regular meeting maybe then to follow on the 27th.
So have both meetings on the 27th, is what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yes,
What time would we start at 6:30 with the joint meeting?
yes.
So we had talked about, originally talking to you all about wanting to go ahead and meet for the July regular meeting and the joint at the same time. However, the town is wanting to also conduct their meeting that would normally take place on the 27th on the same night here. So my understanding would be, if we're holding our joint meeting at 6:30, let's just say we allocate an hour for discussion on that. Immediately following, the board would hold their regular meeting after that, 7:30 to 8:30. If the town wanted to conduct their meeting, we could allow them to come into the building and conduct their meeting as long as there was a time frame that they did that prior to the joint meeting.
So I'm confused. Are they, under that scenario, when would the joint meeting be? After both meetings?
No, it would be before.
Before.
Both meetings, correct. So they're wanting to come in on the 27th. They originally wanted to meet after the joint meeting here. But our intent was to ask the board to hold our regular meeting after the joint meeting. And I think that the board should take precedent of their
So under
facility
your
inside.
scenario, the joint meeting would start at a predetermined time. Then we would have the MUD board meeting followed.
Immediately
by-
following, correct?
Yeah, immediately following. Then they would have their meeting immediately following that.
No, sir, my intent was to go ahead and have them meet with their regular meeting prior to the joint meeting. That way they didn't stay later than us.
Oh,
I don't really want to stay up here till midnight if we don't have to for the town. But if that's what we need to do, that's fine.
Why
My-
wouldn't we have our meeting here? The town have their meeting at their town hall, and when we get done ours, we just drive down to town hall.
My understanding is that They're wanting to go ahead, since they have to come here for the joint meeting, they're wanting to go ahead and hold their regular meeting here as well.
Well, I think what Kevin just said, why can't we have the joint meeting there? Do
Exactly.
we have to have
All don't
the,
fit at the dais.
Well, part of the problem is,
They built
and
that.
Lori, you'll have to explain this a little further. All voting members have to be at a dais. We have to have microphones and the ability to house everyone that has the ability to vote. We can do that here, and I'm not under the impression that that can be accommodated at the town dais.
I don't believe that you can all be public front-facing at their dais. I believe that there is only 5 or 6 people allowed at their
Seven.
front-facing. You need to be seen on camera. If you're going to be taking any kind of a vote, you need to be heard and facing the public for it to be.
yeah, I
an
mean, I'm
official
thinking of the
public meeting.
tables they have with the lawyers and lady and all that, but their backs are to the
They have
camera.
7 people places.
Yeah, 7 people.
And the way that this one is set up, we can scoot everyone in and make it fit. You could have 7 members over there, you can have 5 members over here.
That's why
Staff
we've
can be
always
down
had
here.
it here.
Plus the interpreter to understand what they're telling us.
There you go. So my recommendation would be to allow the town to come in earlier, prior to the joint
So
meeting.
they have their meeting,
Correct.
then the joint, and then we have our meeting.
Yes, sir.
So given that, do we want to have the joint meeting at 6:30? Should we push it back just a little to like 7 to give them a little bit of time?
Well, I was planning on having probably a 30-minute gap in between the town council meeting and the joint meeting, just to give staff and/or whomever else is here attending a little time for a break.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's at 6:30, what I'm saying is that they'd have to meet at, 5.
Or 6 o'clock. It would be 5:30 roughly. I would assume that their regular council meeting is generally an hour long, depending on what their docket looks like.
Would y'all consider having our meeting first? Before the joint
If we
meeting?
do that, that means that we have to sit here and wait until the town gets
Oh,
done.
I see what you're saying, okay.
Not really my preference, but if we need to, we can do so.
Yeah.
Well, it's my birthday, I don't want to be here all night.
Yeah, I like the idea of them first, joint, and then ours. If nothing else, it gives, definite cutoff times and getting out of Dodge.
Is everybody available on the 27th of July?
23rd,
27th?
7,
7th.
yeah. I'm good.
Yeah, we can do it.
So if we're agreeing on that date, 6:30 again for the joint meeting, is that what we're saying?
I think that, do we have to set the time itself, or can we fluctuate ourselves a little bit with the town to accommodate?
It's agended.
We can, if you guys are amenable to us changing the time a bit, we can let you know that tomorrow or.
Yeah.
That's fine.
After the next
If you
council
want to
meeting.
push it back to 7, we can say that we'll do the joint at 7 o'clock. Town prior to, the regular board meeting for the district after. And we can set those times. So let's say 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock. 7 o'clock for the joint meeting, 8 o'clock for the regular meeting, and then the town prior to the joint meeting.
So it could be something like 6, 7, and 8 or something.
Yes, yeah, that works for their timeline.
Okay.
My longest meetings have been the town council.
If y'all say 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock is going to be that time frame that we stick to. And again, we don't know how long the regular board meeting is going to be for you all. So at least that way we can say, y'all can fluctuate your time. If y'all need to stay a little later, so be it. If it needs to convene a little earlier, so be
Well,
it.
if it's Kelly's
We
birthday, we
adjourn-
could go to 11 or 12.
Okay, so here's an agenda
Oh, Alan.
question. If we agenda a meeting to start a particular time, are we bound to start that meeting at that time? Or just the fact that we've published an agenda with the time and we met after that time, does that meet the requirements for Texas open meetings? In other words, we could say we're going to agenda meet at 7 o'clock or 7:30, and we couldn't meet earlier than that, but if the town needed to push longer, they could push longer, we could do the joint, then we could do our meeting.
My understanding is that's correct because we have done that here. We had technical issues one time and we didn't start until almost 7 o'clock.
I believe we're just bound by an end time.
Yeah, I don't want to get bound by an
I
end
did
time.
not get the impression that they would want to do an early meeting, and so it might be that they would be amenable to a 6:30 joint meeting and then they go back to their respective building to have their own meeting. So there might be.
So you recommend that we leave it at 6:30 for the joint
I
meeting?
would say we don't need to set the time at this
Okay,
time. I think we can talk to Wade and Letty tomorrow.
Yeah.
And get a feel for that, but I think that they, as long as we can have the meeting on Tuesday, they might be willing to just go ahead and start at 6:30 with the joint meeting,
Okay.
and then go back to their building for their own meeting.
then we can bring it back to approval the next
That-
meeting?
Right, and that's what we would do.
That's really the simplest.
It is.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what we'll do then. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on meeting dates? No? All right, it's 8:02.
So what?
We're adjourned.
The meeting.
July 27th is going to